And now back to the ground in Ukraine. Harsh realities of the disastrous Russian invasion caught on camera by award-winning Israeli photojournalist Ziv Koren. Ziv, joining us now from Kyiv with the details. It's great to have you with us. So, when did you head to Ukraine, Ziv, and where in Ukraine have you traveled since your arrival?
I started, I think it was about a week ago in Lviv, and I was in Lviv for 3, 4 days and moved into Kiev just, I think it was 3 days ago. I'm sorry, all the days are kind of combined together because I work constantly around the clock. So I don't have a really fresh memory of when I was where.
So, were there doubts in your mind going to Ukraine?
No, there weren't any doubts. Unfortunately, I was on my way to Ukraine about 2 weeks ago when I discovered 6 hours before takeoff that I'm positive to COVID.
Oh.
So I had to stay, unfortunately, another almost 10 days in Israel, being sick at home. And the day I was able to travel, I packed my bags and moved.
So, all right, now, can you describe what you've seen on the ground in Ukraine and what it's like to move through that war zone?
It's really hard to work, but we're doing our very best. I'm here with Ronen Bergman, a well-renowned journalist that is a privilege to be working with because he's a real expert and a good friend. And we've been trying to figure out where to go and how to get the access to photograph things. So it's basically based on finding the access and how to get to places and get the interviews alongside with finding the locations to photograph. It's quite complicated, but this is what we do. So we try our best to get as close as possible and to bring out the story and mostly the story of the people, because I think one of the biggest disasters is that unlike what is projected in the Russian news, there are direct hit on civilians in Kiev. And all the pictures we've just seen are bombs that fell on the suburbs and part of the city of Kiev, where they were targeting a civilian population in their homes, at night, that a bomb falls. And this is what we see now is a 18 stories building that got a direct hit, and it's all on fire, as you can see. And they were bringing out dead bodies in body bags. And this is when the Russians say that they are targeting military targets only.
So now I know obviously you're walking us through some of the images that we're seeing here on screen, but is there a particular moment or image that really stands out strongly or strongest in your mind?
Listen, it's a combination of thousands of these moments that from the minute I arrived to Ukraine until this minute, that one event is chasing the other. The disaster of what is happening in the civilian population of refugees trying to find their way out of Ukraine. It's insane. It's insane that this is in the middle of Europe, and the year is 2022. It's just unbearable.
All right, now I know that you've also tracked Israeli counter-terror operations, the aftermath of the Haiti earthquake in 2010, and several other conflict zones. How does this compare?
It's very different than anything I've seen before. I can't recall seeing tanks fighting tanks and airplanes up in the air. It doesn't look like anything I've seen in before. Most of the wars, I think in the last at least 2 decades or even 3, were mostly fighting against guerrillas or terror organizations in an unequivalent kind of war zone, and this is full-on military, two nations fighting against each other. Again, as I said, in the middle of Europe, it's horrible. It's just scenes that we've never expected to be seeing, in the middle of Europe.
Ziv Koren, thank you so much, and stay safe.
Thank you.
ILTV Plus, your news from Israel and more 24/7. Start your free trial today. Subscribe at iltv.tv and watch from any device.